Hi, this is Splish and I hope you're having a great day. Today I'll review the Call of Duty Vanguard Open Beta and I'll do so by breaking it down into the following main categories: visuals, audio, gameplay, weapons and field upgrades, and maps. Before we do that, I want to say thank you to Activision that provided me with a code, making it possible for me to play the Vanguard Open Beta in early access on PC. Remember that these are my impressions of the beta, so with that in mind, let us have a sane discussion since I'm of course curious to hear what you think as well. The two things that I heard people talking about the most after the PlayStation weekend of the beta was visuals and audio, and I'll therefore start with those two. When it comes to graphics, I guess you all know by now that Sledgehammer are using the Modern Warfare graphics engine, or a variant of it, which of course gives some visual similarities with Modern Warfare. However, I still believe the game looks more like Sledgehammer's former Call of Duty game, which was World War II. It means that the colors are a bit washed out, which I'm not a huge fan of, since I mainly prefer colorful graphics, but it's at least more colors than the previous World War II game, so that's something. But graphics quality aside, one of the most discussed things is the visibility in the game. Once again, in a Call of Duty game, I feel that it's sometimes hard to see or spot enemies, especially against certain backgrounds in darker areas of the maps, or for example on the snowy map called Red Star. I believe the color scheme and the fact that the player models almost look the same and a bit generic makes it harder for players to spot enemies. I hope they do something about that. When it comes to audio, I have to say that I'm disappointed. The mix is overall quite low, so I need to crank up the volume quite some in my headphones, but when I do, I hear that the audio mix suffers from volume unbalances when it comes to environmental sounds, gun sounds and footsteps. I strongly believe that a look into the mix would give a more immersive experience when playing. Upon that, the mix also lacks from certain frequencies when it comes to equalizing, especially higher ones, which in this case makes the audio in the game sound a bit muddy. I'm a musician mixing and mastering my own tracks, so when I say muddy, it almost sounds as if you're holding your hand over your mouth when talking. A bit like this. I'm of course exaggerating, but I think you get my point. Same here as with the visibility, I hope they look into the audio as well. The actual gameplay feels pretty okay, although it almost felt a bit clunky when I started to play the beta before I got used to it. The time to kill is fast, too fast in my opinion, since I do prefer 1v1 situations where you have a chance to actually shoot back when getting shot at, which is not always the case here, due to some of the weapon unbalances that we're getting into as well. The aim punch or flinch is also very high in this game, almost to the point where it becomes a bit ridiculous, meaning that your gun flies sky high when getting shot at the same time as you're desperately trying to shoot back. I want to see that the flinch or the aim punch will be reduced quite some at launch. I've also experienced that I've been shot, although it shows clearly on my screen that I've gotten into cover, and I'm not talking about breakable cover or the ones that you can shoot through in this game, but on actual rock or similar. But when I then watch the kill cam from the other guy's perspective, it seems as if I didn't get into cover in time, and I therefore get shot. This is not unique when it comes to Call of Duty game, but it's really annoying, and it might be an indication that the netcode isn't good, or the fact that there might be a P2P server instead of a dedicated server. I haven't found any information whether Vanguard will have dedicated servers only, or a mix when it comes to P2P servers and dedicated servers. I really hope that it's only dedicated servers. The combat pacing choices that has been implemented in Vanguard is though a new thing in the franchise, giving you the option to either choose tactical, which is the classic 6v6 player experience, assault, balanced combat pacing that gives you enough room to breathe and a lot of targets to kill. In the multiplayer beta, player counts will vary between 20 to 28 players. Blitz, which includes high action lobbies where the intensity is cranked up with player numbers even ranging from 28 to 48 players in a match. These options works well on some maps and game modes and a bit less on others. I guess time will tell when the full game is out and we get more maps and game modes how well this new take on matchmaking will work. We could also talk about skill-based matchmaking in this video, but I won't. I'm kind of sick and tired of it as it is. You'll find a bunch of classic World War II weapons in the beta, such as the STG-44, MP-40, the BAR, the Kar-98, just to mention a few. However, spending most of the time playing as a sniper, which I usually do, it feels to me that the devs has chosen to make the SMGs very good, the assault rifles and LMGs good, and the snipers not so good. Don't get me wrong, I'm up to a challenge, but it seems as if the game required some weapon tuning to find a better balance overall. Imagine also later when more people have unlocked incendiary rounds, which in the beta is available for all guns. Yes, all guns. A mistake in my opinion, maybe they should keep it on shotguns only. Kind of a strange decision in my book. And when it comes to field upgrades, there's one thing that I don't like, and that is the armor plates. I don't like the idea of armor plates at all. Sounds like a noob feature to me, so please take them away. It will tilt the balance. In the beta so far, there's 4 maps available, and overall I do believe that they're okay from a design point of view, given some variation when it comes to environment and pacing, although my least favorite map is Red Star. There's just too many buildings and therefore hiding spots, which encourages camping a bit too much, at least from the experience I've had playing on Red Star. I'm hoping though that the rest of the upcoming maps in Call of Duty Vanguard will give us a good experience, and even though I mostly want to see new maps, I have to say that I'm excited to see classic World at War maps such as Castle and Dome coming into Vanguard as well. There's a game mode called Champion Hill as well that I won't talk about here since I'm mainly focusing on the classic multiplayer. The game modes are as expected, meaning team deathmatch, domination, etc. But there's one game mode in particular that has caught my attention and one that I've enjoyed playing that is called Patrol. While the classic hardpoint mode features a set rotation of hills that cycle throughout a match, Patrol boosts just a single scoring zone instead. Rather than having to push ahead for the next objective, Patrol has just one capture point that's constantly on the move. It appears to start at one point on the map and floats on a predetermined course throughout the entire battleground. This forces players to move across the map, well, at least the majority of players, which gives you a lot of action. And it's also a game mode that works pretty well on most maps due to this constantly moving hardpoint. They extended the beta with 2 days, which I think is a good decision. I hope the Sledgehammer and Activision listen in carefully when it comes to feedback, and I mean constructive feedback when it comes to their game. If I would only be able to choose 2 major changes within the game right now, it would be to improve the visibility even more and the audio as mentioned in this video. I've probably forgotten some things that I wanted to include in the video along the line, but even if I have, I'm now curious to hear your thoughts about the Call of Duty Vanguard beta. So thanks for watching, and make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Stay healthy and game on. Bye.
Find the bug. Double kill. Lead is lost. Fight back. Bloodthirsty. Glide bomb ready for target. Triple kill. Head.